This is the GWM Aura. In China, they call it the funky cat. I wonder why they gave it that name. Or is it really funky? Watch and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Welcome to MotorMatters, Change Cars and all things motoring. I'm Alan R and I'm back with you again. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I suggest you hit that subscribe button right now. Then you'll always be up to date with all the latest and the newest in South African motoring. GWM Aura. Aura means electric vehicles from the GWM brand and their whole range of vehicles that they have. The Aura is the electric. So full EV, and it's an interesting, cute little vehicle. Looks a little bit like the second generation VW Beetle in some ways, and these headlights, the almost egg-shaped headlights, remind me a lot of the Mini. But that's beside the point. Intelligent LED headlights, because this is the top spec model, being the 400 GT Ultra Luxury, long name, you'll see it's got a lot of extra trim items and a lot of red, because it's a GT. But look at the carbon fiber effect you get on the splitter at the front, on around the gills, around the front end, all around the front. You get lots of this carbon fiber effect, and in fact you even get it over the wheel arches as well. So there you go. There's of course your charging plug over there, and you've got very nice looking, interesting 17-inch alloy wheels with some red trim on the wheel itself, as well as red brake calipers. They're telling you something, aren't they? You come over here, you have a look, and you'll see again, above the rear window and above the rear hatch, you've got a nice spoiler over there with, of course, the GT legend yet again. Now, as soon as I unlock the car, I'll show you the interior and I'll show you what the rear seat looks like. And let's just jump into the back, and you can see also space in the rear. Very good legroom for a smaller car, and in fact you even have what they call comfort access for the driver. In other words, that seat moves back slightly as you switch off the power and you turn off the car, and it'll move forward when I start her up again. But you can see very good legroom. Headroom I would call adequate without being massive. With my hat on I'm okay, but for tall people it may be a tiny bit tight, but it's not bad at all. Leather trim on the top model, as you can see, and lots of red flashes. One USB for rear seat passengers over there. Still good enough, but two would be a lot better. But I think I'm being a little bit picky on that point, quite honestly. Come around to the rear, and you'll see it's quite a wide and flat effect. On the rear end, you've got a diffuser down at the bottom over here with carbon fiber and more red. Pop open the boot or the rear hatch, and you'll notice on this top model it is a powered tailgate, which is very nice, very useful. Tiny little shelf over there, but it does of course keep prying eyes away, which is what you want. And when you lift the boot board, look here, no spare wheel, but you have got the inflation kit, as they call it, in the pump, and here's your charging cables if you're charging at home. So very neatly placed over there. What the boot does have is a pretty high sill. So you've got to heft suitcases right the way over, which is something you're just going to have to live with, I suppose. And also, let's have a look. Well, yep, it's not a massive boot, but it's probably a 1 Allen boot. Certainly could fit one of me in there with not too much effort. But note the high sill I've got to use to climb out again. That's the point of it. Press the button to close. Now, the Aura is powered by battery, as I told you, and it drives the front wheels, which is not a problem at all. The 400, which goes to range, you get a 300 model as well with a slightly smaller battery, but this one puts out 126 kilowatts, 250 Newton meters of torque. lower than a lot of other people claim, but I must say, on the road, I didn't feel any lack of response, of power, and of drivability. Let's go and check it out.
Hello, my name is Michael. I'm the owner of CHANGECARS and the host of the TV show All Things Motoring. I have one mission, and that is to make a difference to the motoring public. Making a difference how? Making sure that you have safe options, making sure that you have knowledge. In that regard, it is my absolute pleasure and privilege to work with Alan Rosenmeyer of MotorMatters. The man with a hat, I'm the man with no hat, he's the man with the knowledge. Thank you for watching.
This car is cool, but I don't really like the red seat belts because red is not my favorite color, pink is my favorite color.
So life with an EV means it's got to be charged as well. But if you're like me and you don't have a wall box at home, because I only get EVs on test every now and then, well, then you've got to bring it down to your local supermarket or your local shopping centre and hope they've got a charging station there, a wall box, which this one has. We plugged in, we're ready, it's on charge. We've just got to wait and see exactly how long it's going to take before it gets to full. But at least I do have the convenience, nice and close to home, that I can charge it. But this is life with an EV. All I can say is if you're getting one, get your wall box. So we parked it a few moments ago with 66 kilometers to go. Now there's 87, and it's telling me it's going to take an hour and 59 minutes to reach full. Let's see if that's accurate, let's see how it goes, and whether it's going to take that long or not. We can only wait and see. On the road, of course, the Aura is a typical EV. Silence. Silence all the way. But it does emphasize the road noise and tire noise. But it just is something you have to get used to. And once you do, that it's not eerie anymore or uncanny. And note how loud the indicator suddenly seems to be. I think it's just because of the quietness of the car running itself. But what is amazing is the acceleration and the responsiveness that you get from this. Just watch this now as you put your foot down and you go. That is for sure. It really does perform. It really does respond. So if you are in a situation of urban driving and you want to overtake, for example, you know you've got more than enough under your foot. But this is a city car. It's an urban car. And of course, range anxiety plays into that as well. 400, well, I would say at just over 300 to 330, I start getting range anxiety. Let's put it that way. But that's me. But it's smooth, it's comfortable, it's relaxed, it's the silence. I've got to keep repeating the word, that silence. And it is the absolute responsiveness. It's light, it's easy handling. It certainly doesn't take much effort to drive in any way whatsoever. But it's just got everything that you want. Now let's see if pedestrians even notice I'm coming, seeing as you have no engine noise, of course. But it just is a fun little car. I've driven it a bit on the freeway, but it's not really designed for that. And you can keep on saying that it just isn't quite what it's for. But it certainly is for driving around the neighborhood and urban use. And it does that so very, very well. Yeah. Looking behind the wheel, of course, now you've got your screen. So you've got the screen in front of the driver, and then you've got the infotainment screen, which we'll look at in a moment. One of the most pertinent points on the screen in front of me is to tell me the range left in the tank, or on the charge. I had to use the word in the tank, didn't I? But I think you get what I mean. And obviously it can give you different information. It can give you how many kilowatts you're using while you're driving, etc., etc. But it's there, it gives you all the info you want. You've got auto wipers, you've got auto headlights, you've got all those sort of features as well, which are nice and useful. And of course you've got the typical multifunction steering wheel with everything you want. And then behind the wheel, you can't see it right now, but over there is a stalk which does give you active cruise control as well. So you've got all that. Now, obviously, a lot of this may be limited to the top spec model and not on the others, but we are in the top spec, so I'm showing you what you get, and that is very important. Hidden away down to the right of the driver's leg are a couple of buttons over there. Now the first one is the mode button, which I'll be honest, I haven't even touched. I think there is a power or sport mode or something, but this car is so responsive I felt no need. But this one over here is a strange and interesting button, because the Aura, like some other electric cars, basically is running when you open the car. So you get in and it's already running. That switches off the engine or the motor or whatever word you want to use for it. And it took me a little while to find that. Taking a look at the infotainment screen over here, it's nice, it's clear, it's crisp, it gives you everything you want. You've got the home over there that says starting navigator, for example, but maps aren't available, but it doesn't matter. I think you get the idea of what I'm trying to show you. There's all the different functions you can get. Android Auto worked really well. I did use it with a cable. And of course, just to show you your camera system. Now you can see you've got 2D, 3D, you've got all your various camera systems you want, and that's what you really want to see, the overhead, the 3D, etc., etc. It also does come up with, for example, forward cameras in certain situations as well. So it's got the full suite of that, let me put it that way. You've got a very interesting dashboard over here, very flat over here, but it's the colors. I keep telling you about A, they call it the Funky Cat. That's why I referenced the Funky Cat name. B, all the red being the GT version. And you've got, look at this middle section of the dash, which has this maroon red color. Even the top third of the steering wheel is the red coloring. So you've got it all over the place, on the doors, everywhere. They keep reminding you of the fact it's the GT version. I think that's what I'm trying to tell you. You come down over here, and although, for example, your aircon and ventilation controls are all on your screen, which is not necessarily my favorite feature on any car, but your vents look good, and below it you've got a couple of piano keys over here for certain functions. The rest are in the screen. You come down below that, you've got two USBs, and quite interestingly, they're actually marked, one for charging and one for connectivity, screen mirroring, etc., etc., which is quite interesting and quite useful. And you've got a 12-volt socket there. Now you have a pad here for your cell phone, and you have a second one here, which offers you inductive charging. But obviously then you would probably want to be running wirelessly. But anyway, a couple of cup holders over there, and your rotary gear selector over here with press for park. Electronic parking brake. This is all what you expect and standard. Your seats, I've said before, leather trim with lots of red and even a GT logo over there. And you also get a panoramic roof on this top spec ultra luxury model. So you can see it's fully spec'd, it's got everything you want, it's fully kitted out. It's useful, isn't it? I'm not going to go into the pricing of electric vehicles in South Africa at this point, because we all know the duty issue. But what I can tell you is it's very competitive in the EV segment. You've got the Mini, which is smaller, has less range, which will come in depending on how you spec your car at similar money. BYD have come in, but I must be honest, I haven't experienced any of their cars yet. And Volvo have just launched, or I've seen but not driven, their EX30, which comes in at cheaper or more expensive depending on which model you're looking at. But an Aura you can get into a 300, in other words the slightly lower range one, from 686,000 Rand. This one we're in now is 835,000 Rand, kitted out with absolutely everything. You also get a 7-year, 105,000 kilometer service plan thrown into the deal. As EVs go, this is what you call value for money. As EVs go. It looks interesting, it looks different. The Funky Cat, I think it's funky. I really do. It's an opinion I'd like to hear from you and see if you think it lives up to that name or not. Let me know. Be interested to hear. EV living, this is a good example. For Change Cars, for all things motoring, and for Motor Matters, I'm Alan R, and I'll see you next time.